Welcome to Copytraders Club, where you can learn how to make more money copy trading. I'm Gavin Macaulay, my name and username on eToro. You can continue the conversation on Discord and Facebook. If you like this podcast and want to see it continue, you can do your part by recommending it to one person or group of people this week. Today is another episode with an eToro insider and someone who makes an eToro related podcast. Could be fireworks. Here we go. Episode 31 of Copytraders Club, and today we welcome Sam North, the trading school lead at eToro. Trader, educator, and podcaster. He has just had laser eye surgery, and as he steps from the limousine, he's feasting his eyes on the opulent sight of the Copytraders Clubhouse. Sam, hello. Welcome to Copytraders Club.
Hello, Gavin. Great to be here with you today.
Well, it's great to have you here today. I don't know how much of a fan of the show you are, but security is very tight here at Copytraders Clubhouse, tighter than Wembley Stadium. So in order to gain access to the Copytraders Lounge, you have to answer a series of quickfire questions at reception. You ready for those?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Username on eToro.
Sam North 7.
Date you joined eToro.
May the 4th.
Year of birth.
Year of birth, 1991.
Place of residence.
Balham, Wandsworth, that sort of way.
Profession.
Trading school lead.
Briefly state what you aim to achieve on eToro.
To deliver as much high quality free content to as many people as possible.
Name one of your investing heroes.
It's a tricky one, this, because I don't really have one. I've always found it slightly odd when people have heroes they've never met. So I'd say my dad or my future self.
Name one of your favourite investing books.
Flash Crash, Liam Vaughan, the recent one. Or one of the early Market Wizards with Jack Schwager.
That completes the formalities. Let's proceed into the VIP section here at the clubhouse. The magnificent Copytraders Lounge awaits you. Sam North, aka Sam North 7. Are you ready for this magical transition?
Absolutely. Here we go.
Here we are now in the Copytraders Lounge. Sam, it's always exciting to have people from eToro here. You're only the second person we've had, and the second Sam from eToro. Is that compulsory to be called Sam?
I think so, yeah. I think you're right. I think unless you're called Sam, it's a no-go for you. But, I did listen to that episode, and it was a very interesting one.
So you tell me you live in South London, in Balham. I used to live in London for a few years.
Whereabouts?
Well, I always was in the north of the river, but I had a girlfriend who lived down your direction.
Oh, okay.
Tooting area, beyond the entrance to the hospital.
Oh, yeah, in St. George's. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, good times.
Good times, yeah. I like the area. I've been here since December 2018 and can't speak highly enough of it. Great place.
Are you a London boy?
Yeah, I grew up Kingston way, sort of Teddington, southwest London, and I went to school in Wimbledon. So yeah, for my whole life of sort of being based around there, despite living other places, but yeah, mostly there.
Well, you just mentioned something that we will come on to in a moment, but for now, let's talk a little bit about football, something that comes up all the time in your podcast.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I should mention, by the way, well, describe your role at eToro and how I know about you.
So my role at eToro is, well, as trading school lead, is to produce content. So that could be webinars or the podcast, like you said. And, that could be talking with other figures at eToro, producing sort of like a weekly outlook, or it could be looking over the charts at potential areas of interest. It could even be doing TikTok videos, which is something that's quite interesting for me. But yeah, just producing content, education for all of our users here.
Yeah, so you're the trading school lead, and you also co-host the official eToro podcast. We'll talk about that later.
Awesome.
So I came across you from the podcast, and we connected on Twitter, and you were possibly one of the most "it's coming home" people that I have in my contacts. But, I didn't know you well enough to unfriend you at that time.
No, yeah, it's a tricky one, that, isn't it?
But you were obviously very excited about England's expansive play and goals galore throughout the tournament.
I think if you, especially in knockout football, if you win, it doesn't matter how you play. Admittedly, it wasn't exciting, but I mean, we were one kick away. We brought the nation together. So I you know what, I'm proud, but I will never watch that game back again. The final.
Yeah, well, you're definitely getting closer. It's only a matter of time before. I mean, England will definitely win a trophy in your lifetime.
I hope you're right, because if not, I'm coming back to you, and I want a refund for all the games that I go to.
I understand you used to be a bit of a player yourself.
Yeah. Up until sort of 17, I was in the academy ranks at Fulham and Reading, and then sort of fell out of love of it, really. But yeah, it was really my whole young life football related, and yeah, played a fairly decent level.
Very good. And you're an Arsenal fan?
Unfortunately for my sins, it's been a tough period. Having grown up and we're winning doubles, we're winning the leagues, cups, going invincible for a season, and now, yeah, we're rock bottom as it currently stands in the Premier League. So it's not the greatest time to be an Arsenal fan.
I actually wanted to talk to you about a club very close to my heart, which is in fact most likely your local club. And as if that wasn't coincidence enough, last week they were drawn together in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, AFC Wimbledon.
AFC Wimbledon, the mighty Dons.
The mighty Dons, absolutely. I've got a soft spot for them. When I first started playing football, they used to put on like football camps during the holidays. So we would go do that, and you get tickets to a game at the end of it. And yeah, it's fantastic. I played for their player development centre, and got to always look out for their result. Obviously, what happened to them from going from Wimbledon to, well, MK Dons or AFC Wimbledon is a bit of a sticky situation. But yeah, I've got a lot of time for AFC Wimbledon.
Well, it was a blessing in disguise, because look at where the club is now, That would never have happened if they hadn't been supplanted to MK Dons, and they wouldn't have started it all again.
No, definitely. I think it's great. And fingers crossed, they can really push on. Obviously, they're back in plough lane back in the last season, this season. So, yeah, I think they're set to make a push up through the leagues. But it's not going to be easy.
Well, when life gets back to normal, and the next time I pass through London, we'll go to a game. How's that?
Absolutely. We'll absolutely get that booked in. Definitely. You
also like a bit of golf, as I saw from, is it your Twitter pic? There's a background pic of a panoramic shot of you teeing up somewhere.
Yeah, in Cyprus, yeah.
I have a friend, Fraser, who's a golf pro, and I asked him to have a look at that picture and tell me what he thinks.
It probably would. But do you know what? In my defense, I was playing with a broken wrist and I had a cast on. So I had to change a few things to make that work. So
he did mention your grip needs some attention. So that is possibly explained by the injury. Yeah. And he also said you look like you're about to hook it.
Yeah. I mean, for that week, like I said, I had this cast on, and it meant that I could only play certain shots with certain clubs. And it was like it was a pro-am event. So it's like a 5-day thing. And actually by the end of it, ended up playing pretty well. But I love the game. I want to play a lot more, and that's the plan going forward. There's so many similarities from golf and trading and investing. So I should, in theory, be a lot better than I am at golf. It needs a lot of work.
Well, what stage are you at? What handicap do you play off?
Well, I play off 18, but I have done for a few years. I just don't play enough. I don't practice enough. But yeah, the plan is, from now to really sort of step it up.
It takes a lot of time, though, golf, doesn't it?
A lot of time. I mean, my dad's just recently joined as a member at a club in South London, and before that he played once a year, like on his football tour. But now he's playing 4 or 5 times a week. But for the 40 years before that, and he liked golf, he just didn't have the time to play for whatever reason. So yeah, I'm just going to try to find the time to get it done, but it's not always that easy.
What, was your dad a footballer?
Well, no, he went to, he actually played for Chelsea schoolboys when he was really young. And then he went to a uni called St Mary's, where they had a football team. And every single year since they finished uni, the team have gone on what was a football tour and now is a golf tour. So every year without fail, except obviously last year. Football got to a point for him where it was that or education. He went education, even though he did terribly at uni. Got like a third. Didn't really turn up, but then had a lucky break when he went to one of the trading floors back in the day, the life trading floor, and got a gig sort of doing the umpiring, if you like, and sort of pushed on from there.
Another thing I picked up from your Twitter is related to something that I often complain about when it comes to copy trading, and that is when people talk about the wisdom of the crowd. And I had a rant on a recent episode about, I don't believe the crowd to be particularly wise. I don't follow the wisdom of the crowd in all sorts of areas. And one of the examples I listed was reality TV shows where sexy morons try to shag each other. Or try not to shag each other, depending on the format.
Situation, yeah.
But then I see you tweeting about Love Island quite a lot. So the question is, Sam North, shouldn't you be ashamed of yourself?
Absolutely. Guilty as charged. I think when it started this year, and this obviously isn't the only year that I have watched it, it was just quite nice. You'd have the football, and then you'd have Love Island, and it was just a horrible routine just before the world was reopening. So there wasn't, in my defence, much else to do. And then it just became a bit of a habit. It was like finish work, watch the football game, Love Island, bed, and then sort of rinse and repeat. It was a sad little life, but I am happy it's over now. And we can get back to what was normality before that.
Well, can I suggest another slightly trashy reality show for you?
Definitely.
On Netflix, Below Deck.
Oh yeah. I saw the picture for that, but I haven't looked into it. Decent.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's about yachties in the Caribbean or the Mediterranean, and you learn a lot about the human condition. There's the haves and the have-nots between the guests and the crew. There's all the interpersonal dramas going on between the crew. There's hierarchies.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of things going on. It's really, it's slightly directed reality, but still, if you want to turn your mind off, it's better than just people in bikinis.
Yeah, well, I'll put it on my my to watch list. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good enough for me anyway.
All right, let's have a question from the Art of People. Would you like to pick a number between 1 and 10?
Always 7 for me.
It's always 5 or 7.
Yeah, 7 after David Beckham, which is quite sad to admit, but always has been.
If you weren't doing what you're doing today, what would you be doing and why?
Great question. If I wasn't doing what I did today, I'd like to think it would be something sport related. I have a few people in my sort of close friendship group that are some sort of sport agent. So potentially something to do with that. I think sport has always been my number one passion. So I'd like to think if I didn't do this, didn't go down this route, being a sport agent.
Sam North, the trading school lead of eToro. You mentioned briefly what it is you do about providing content. Can you expand on that a bit more? What form does that content take? Who's it aimed at?
Yeah, so really it's aimed at all levels. So when I first came to eToro, we just had a webinar, which was every Tuesday, which would be looking at multi-asset classes and in terms of technical areas where they might be of interest. But since coming, obviously, as you mentioned, doing the podcast as well, which is aimed at beginners and advanced people, where I've brought in a webinar on the Monday, which is more of a weekly outlook from a macro point of view, what potential drivers there could be. So the people that would be interested in that, I mean, typically you would say would be more advanced, that perhaps understand the drivers of the market a little bit more. But also I want it aimed at beginners. I want there to be as much free content as possible. So we're in talks, sound like a football club, to produce another webinar, which will be purely crypto, another one purely stock. So getting that all sort of out there. And then every month, there's always a free part introduction to investing and trading course, which runs in the last full week of every month. And as of next week, there's going to be advanced courses, like once a week, sort of for more the investor or trader who wants to develop. They've sort of understood the basics a little bit and they want to, take their trading to that next level. So that could be understanding a little bit more about correlations, trading edge, the psychology, advanced risk management, that kind of thing. So we've got a series of webinars that are coming in the upcoming weeks, blogs as well that have been written. So yeah, it's just about giving everyone who wants it the opportunity to learn as much as possible and the key things as well. Because if you look out on the internet, as I'm sure you'll know, there's a lot of poor information. So we're really trying to sort of filter that through and get the right message across.
Right. So it's aimed at individual traders and investors.
Yeah.
And it's all accessible through the help link. And then you click the eToro Academy link. If any of the listeners are on their computer right now or on their phone even, I imagine many of our listeners, and indeed eToro users in general, might be surprised to learn about how huge that whole world of guides and webinars and videos and links to the podcast are all in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's only going to grow as well. So like, as you mentioned, the eToro Academy, and we can just type that in on Google and it will come up. But it's extensive amount of information on there, and it's only going one way in terms of bringing more content and the right content to everyone. So I'd encourage people to check that out. You can filter it through to, the asset class that you're interested in, or whether it be the podcast or webinars on demand or live as well. So yeah, it's a surplus of information there for everyone listening.
And where did you learn all of this stuff?
So at university, I studied sports science, and I very, very quickly realized that wasn't going to be for me. I loved the psychology side of it, but in terms of pursuing a career in that, it wasn't going to be a direction I wanted to go down. So I finished uni, and my dad worked in financial industry. So he mentioned about potentially doing a course, getting into trading, and he knew a couple of people who ran a proprietary trading firm where they offered a course called Amplified Trading. So which is obviously where I previously worked, but I went and did the course there and traded for them for a bit, and learned. It was 12-week course, so very intensive. Went away, traded for them, and then traded my own funds, and with a colleague of mine, which went well. Definitely beginner's luck, because as everyone will know, trading isn't something that can happen overnight. But then went back to Amplify to help with mentoring their summer interns. So over the summer, they would have interns from all over the world, university students. So I went away and helped with that, and was still able to trade at the same time. So it was a win-win for me, having an income and also trading, which obviously psychologically makes that a lot easier. But then came to the end of the summer, Amplify wanted me to continue helping out. So yeah, I did that. And so really my education stemmed from Amplify, and sort of learning on the job as it would go. But that's where it all began.
So from the background I come from, in terms of the books I've read and how I like to think of myself as an investor, it's all about investing, and trading is almost a dirty word.
Yeah.
So you talk about trading. Is it all short-term trading you're talking about, or is there a mix?
No, yeah, complete mix. So for me, the way that I would ever trade or invest is like a split between, say, 30 fundamental view, a bias that I would have about a product, an asset class, whatever, and then 70 would be technical. So I look at the market, and regardless of what it is, pretty much the same way, as long as it's liquid enough and there's enough people trading it. So I look at, for me, especially when I teach as well, it's like, I want to identify a point in the market where there could be a reaction. Now, do I have a bias for that? So it might be, well, a recent example would be Spotify. I think it's undervalued. Technically, it came to a level where I think other people would have the same opinion. So that would be how I would potentially then execute that trade. But I'd also decide where I'm wrong. And, that Spotify trade, fingers crossed, is a long-term investment. It keeps pushing higher, but it may well not. But I also know if it goes to, say, and I'll just say around about sort of 280, not 280, 180. I don't want to be in that trade anymore. And that's the market, in my opinion, telling me I'm wrong. So I take that approach on all different forms, whether that be intraday trading, medium term sort of swing trading, or longer term investing.
Okay, so you're in the business of educating individual traders. Yeah, I'd love to see more stuff that helps copy traders. Because copy trading is really new. It's like a pioneering branch of trading. That's what I consider it to be, a branch of investing. And if we approach it as a branch of investing and we break it down into all its component parts and explain what they all are, it's going to help people avoid the most common mistakes. This podcast is designed to educate copy traders, myself primarily. Also helping in researching who to copy, how to copy, and all of the rest of it. And I know for a fact a lot of listeners are picking things up from this podcast that they weren't aware of. It also appears to be good helping copiers to decide to copy a PI. There's been quite a few occasions where copiers have started copying someone after hearing them interviewed, which is very pleasing because it's a more informed decision than the average point and click copy trader action. You know what I mean? So you use fundamental and technical analysis to find short, medium, and long-term trades. Don't know where that quote comes from, but I saw that somewhere. I saw a conversation recently. I think it was on somebody else's Discord where people were talking about one of your webinars or maybe more of them. And you're teaching people to trade crypto. And they said something along the lines of, Sam's a great guy, but because of the heavy spreads on crypto, you need to have some serious price movements to make any money. Why are eToro's crypto spreads so large? And is that ever going to change?
So, I mean, the spreads we provided from, our provider that give us the price. I think with crypto, the way I teach it and look at it is from a medium term perspective, where you are going to get, I mean, it's one of those asset classes where it does do, a 20% day every now and then, which is incredible. But at the same time, for some people that attend the webinars, they have no interest in it, and that's absolutely fine. I mean, I've only recently myself, over the last sort of couple of years, dipped my toes in that world. So with any product, whether that be the Turkish lira against the US dollar or Ethereum, the one thing that I always want to stress is risk management. It would always be, before you get into that investment, you want to say, okay, listen, if this goes wrong, I'm happy to lose this amount. And that amount should only, should be consistent across the majority of your trades. So like one risk unit. And okay, I'm going to risk that much. And, if it goes well, this is how much I'm looking to make, and be consistent with that approach. And I think that's the main thing of all the certainly the introduction to trading approaches that I really want to drill in is the risk management to begin with, that discipline, that self-awareness. And by self-awareness, it might be that when you trade crypto, that isn't the market for you. Or when you trade, individual stocks, that's when you struggle the most. Okay, we'll use that information, steer away from it, trade something else. Trade what you're best at, avoid what you're worst at.
Okay, but why are the spreads on eToro less favorable than other platforms?
So I mean, the spreads on all the markets are, derived from the providers that we have for those prices.
Okay. Other alternative providers?
I mean, you'd probably have to speak to someone else to find out that information, but they are what they are. And, they're competitive enough.
Yeah, I'm not asking from a position of great knowledge. It's a complaint I hear from other people. I'm not a crypto guy, although it's saving my bacon at the moment, the cryptos that I have bought. And I see you've had a very good August.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't particularly bother me what the spreads are because A, I'm a noob. B, I'm buying to sort of ride it to 3x. I'm not trading. And C, I can't be bothered signing up for a crypto-only account somewhere. But it is a complaint that you see a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think, with crypto, like you said, I think most people are in the same sort of boat. They are looking to hold it for a longer period of time. It's not something that, you're necessarily looking to trade on a 5-minute chart on a pennant breakout, for example. It is a longer term sort of play. But as always, if you've got the right risk management, within reason, most markets you can look to trade and invest, controlling that.
Right, let's talk a bit more about your podcast, the official eToro podcast called Ingest and Divest. You might want to correct me there.
Yeah, Digest and Invest podcast from eToro.
Digest and Invest. And you host it with Josh Gilbert in Australia.
That's right. Yeah. Market analyst based out in Sydney, Australia.
Okay, so tell us a bit now about your podcast. Who is that aimed at and what is its mission?
So, I mean, the mission is, well, the title gives it away. So to digest and invest, topical subjects of the last 7 days. So obviously with Zoom this week, beginning of September, having moved 16% down, we're going to talk about that because after the earnings. So that's, a subject we would, if something happened big elsewhere, we bring that in. So the sort of the hot topics in the financial world are what we want to bring to life in a quick format, sort of 5 minutes per subject. So aimed at, beginners, but also, from certainly people that message me after each episode. I know they've been in the markets for many years as well. So it is aimed at those that, I would say they're more advanced in their sort of investing career.
Yeah, I would describe it as like a bite-sized market summary style chat. The headlines and a little bit behind the headlines, plus some chat about footy and COVID in Australia and some mining company that you and Josh both lost money in.
Oh, yeah, serious minerals. Yeah. I mean, that could have been the retirement trade, but, maybe that question where if I wasn't doing this, what would I be doing? Well, I could be on a beach somewhere if that came off. It didn't. So here I am.
All right, so Josh, he seems like a very knowledgeable chap. One thing I've noticed about him, and I bet he watches a lot of US political commentary shows.
Oh, you reckon?
Because he's adopted this verbal behavior that I see a lot in those shows. When asked a question, he often prefaces his answer with, look, look, Zoom has had a big growth story due to COVID. Look, the dollar is set for a tough time in the next 6 months. Yeah, look, we've chatted before about Apple's product line.
Yeah. I'll keep an eye out, and well, maybe he has. Maybe there's a particular US figure that he's picked up on.
Yeah, I'm just hypersensitive to this stuff since I started doing this podcast. I hear it all the time.
Interesting.
Speaking of podcasts, I just realized you're the first person I've ever spoken to who has a podcast.
Oh, really? There you go.
So let's talk about podcasting. What sort of setup do you use?
So the time difference is obviously the first thing we have to consider, and also the location. So we can't do it in person, which is, it's fine. It's workaroundable. So we just do it via Zoom. So he'll do it from his apartment in Sydney. I'll do it from here in London via Zoom. And we both got fairly decent setups and can record the audio, edit little bits if we need to, and get it up and running.
Who does the editing? You?
Me, yeah, I'm king editor.
And you had the music at the start and the end.
Yeah, well, no, well, not originally, but every week I'll sort of put that on. But it's all sort of set in stone, so it makes my life a little bit easier each week.
And I just had a look at the podcast as it appears on eToro. Previously, I'd only listened to it on Apple Podcasts, but I looked at it today, and it strikes me you must use Buzzsprout like I do.
Yeah. So we will upload it to Buzzsprout, which then puts it all on your Spotify's and your Apple Music's, as I'm sure you're aware as well.
Yeah, that's a brilliant service, Buzzsprout.
Oh, it's great, isn't it? It's absolutely, yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, I have no reason to think about changing from them.
In some of the earlier episodes of this podcast, I mentioned Buzzsprout and their series of welcome videos. I don't know if you ever heard me talking about that.
No.
Well, they're incredible. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I was telling Sam, did I not talk to Sam Rudnick about that? I think I did. How their welcome videos just take you by the hand, step by step, show you everything you need to know. And they take you from an absolute clueless
Absolutely
newbie
fantastic
to being able to do everything you need to. And
yeah.
I would love to see something similar on eToro. After you sign up, you get a link to a video which explains that there's a series of videos for copy traders or a series of videos for individual traders. And just before you do anything, just spend some time watching like 10 videos, 4 or 5 minutes each, which deal with each topic that you need to know about. So that when you start to use the platform, you're already starting from a position of education.
Base knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's worthwhile. I know we're working on bits and pieces as well, and I've mentioned that I'm gonna put together short videos on how to get around using the platform in a certain way and that. So yeah, in the pipeline. Watch this space.
Yeah, I mean some of it is there, and like the video I referenced earlier about what is copy trading.
Yeah.
That could be like the first video quite easily. But what I liked about Buzzsprout is they introduced you to it as soon as you signed up. This was their welcome into the fold. And I think it would make a massive difference to the ratio of registered users to funded accounts if so many of your initial questions were addressed in a series of friendly, helpful, easy to digest videos.
Digest and invest.
There you go. On Digest and Invest, you're going to start interviewing PIs. You mentioned, should I take that as a declaration of war on Copy Traders Club?
Absolutely not. No. We can work together on this for sure. It's something I'm excited to do, and the more that gets out there, the better. And you'll have to come on as well, by the way.
Well, that's very nice of you to suggest it.
Assuming you accept.
Well, I imagine your conversations with PIs would be like coming from a different angle from mine. I mean, I'm sort of coming from a sort of specific roundabout way to try and get to know more about the person and what a copier can expect from them, all that kind of stuff. Most PI interviews are asking about their trading style and what do they look for in the market, what do they think for the next 6 months, what individual companies they might be interested in. So yeah, I'm very niche, and I would expect your interviews to be more sort of direct, looking into their mind as an investor and where they currently stand. And they'll probably be a lot shorter than my rambling hour and 10-minute jobbies.
Yeah, no, we sort of hit the nail on the head on the way that we sort of want to approach that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We've got a few people lined up, and yeah, I'm excited about those conversations because it's fascinating, isn't it? I think one thing, every experienced investor I speak to, they still learn so much from others. And when I do the webinars, I say to people, listen, I'm not saying here everything has to be gospel for you, but you might say, okay, well, you know what, that makes sense for me. That doesn't, I'm going to leave that alone. And I think it's the same with these podcasts, right? In terms of, like you said, you speak to them to find out a little bit about their investing style. Someone might listen to that and say, yes, that is a bit of me. I'm going to push forward with that. Or, oh God, that just doesn't, sit well with my way of going about it. And that's self-awareness, one of the most important things of any investor. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Should be good. I mean, I'm probably going to learn as much as other users will as well.
Okay, so you're not setting up in direct competition with Copytraders Club. That's I was quite looking forward to the challenge, of defending the ramparts, proving the effectiveness of our moat, which is wide and deep and filled with piranhas.
Oh God, yeah, I'll be staying away from that.
Dear listener, just a little pause here to say a few things directly to you. The calendar is full until the end of the year. That will mean 52 episodes, which seems like a good time to pause and call it Season 1 and take stock. It's been a lot of fun and a lot of time and effort, but I'm pleased to be creating something of value for eToro users, particularly Copytraders. Whether there will be a Season 2 depends on a number of factors. I say it elsewhere, but I want to repeat it again here to really encourage a little action from you. If you want to see the podcast continue, you can help by bringing more listeners in. A lot of people still don't know about Copytraders Club, so post about it on your PI's feed in eToro. Mention it on a Facebook group or in whatever Discord groups you're in. That's not too much of an ask, is it? On the podcast apps, there's always a share function that includes copy link. Use that. Or copy the YouTube channel link and share that. Or share a link to your favorite episode. There are many ways to eat an orange. I also have one of those affiliate links for new eToro signups in every episode's show notes. So, if you know someone interested in signing up, please copy and send them that link and help support the show that way. Now, I know these calls to action that you hear on podcasts can easily be ignored, and I always ignore them myself, let's be honest. But this time, I am asking you, as someone who listens to and enjoys this one-person independent podcast, to make a little effort to help it along. You can even press pause and take 2 minutes to do it right now. If you do, know that I am grateful. If you don't, every time you hear this bit, you will be overcome with a crippling sense of guilt and unworthiness. Until you do. Back to the show. So Sam, what's it like working for eToro?
Great. Yeah, I love it. It's when did I start? So May the 4th. It was an interesting place in the world, in the UK, at that time, where you're joining a new company, but it's all virtual. So it was, meet people via Zoom, and that process was incredibly smooth. So I can't speak highly enough of that. And then recently we've been into the office, and it's been great. I've mixed in well with people. At least I think I have. It's good. I really enjoy it. The company's great. The people are great.
So when you say you go to the office, do you mean at Canary Wharf?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Canary Wharf. So yeah, just out of the station, do a right up the elevator, level 24, and you're there. It's great. The office views are good as well, which always add to it. But yeah, no, it's decent. And Canary Wharf is starting to get busier again now as people come back into the office. I mean, at the moment we're there 2 days a week, and it's good. No complaints.
So describe the views to us.
You've got from the side of the office where I am, you've got a lovely view out to, you can see the Shard, the London Eye. You can actually on a clear day see Wembley. However, as many people will know, a clear day in London is few and far between. So you can't always see that. But yeah, it's great. And obviously at night as well, where the whole city is lit up, it looks fantastic.
And the Thames.
And the Thames. I mean, the Thames is the Thames. But yeah, it's not quite blue seas, is it? But yeah, it's nice. And yeah, it's good. Before I was based in Bank before the pandemic, and that was chaos. That was, you'd be getting on the tube like a sardine and whatnot. So I'm quite enjoying getting on a tube where it's not ridiculously busy at the moment. So I think this sort of 2 day a week flexi work is, yeah, I'm enjoying it.
And what are the offices like inside? Are they like something from Silicon Valley? Table tennis tables and a slide down from the mezzanine?
Oh, unfortunately not, because that would be all right. Table tennis is a sport I do want to get a little bit better at, but no table tennis or pool. But it's nice, we've actually had and obviously I wasn't in the office before the pandemic, but they've had a quick refurb over that time, and it's great because you're in your own teams, but people interact with each other, and the teams sort of cross over their marketing to PR or whatever. So it's nice, and you've got a communal area for where people have obviously their food at lunch, but you've also got a little bar area in the middle where if people wanted to have a drink after work, they can do that, before even going to any of the restaurants and bars and the green outside. So yeah, it's good office, good views, yeah, and for me at the moment, easy to get to.
But kind of like a regular office, like it could be the same office as a law office or a shipping company's office. Is there nothing funky about it?
Well, I don't think many offices have a bar in the middle of theirs. Maybe they do. My old role didn't, but yeah, no, that's nice. I think it's good. You've got a nice little bit of greenery. You've got good meeting rooms. Yeah, I'm happy with it.
Okay, so you mentioned a little bit about the working from home, working from office, new reality. 2 days a week in Canary Wharf, the rest of the time from home, and it's sort of on rotation.
Yeah, so every Tuesday, Thursday in the office each week, and then the Monday, Wednesday, Friday at home, and that works well. I think it's nice to have it broken up. I think it's really good to get into the office for that sort of face to face meetings that you can have, and bouncing ideas off each other face to face. I think is also important. I'm of the view, obviously at the moment it's almost split down the middle in this country about whether people do want to get back in full time or not. And you definitely have some people that would be happy to work at home for, the rest of their career. But I think for younger people, I think it is quite imperative that they are in the office to, really pick things up from those more senior. I think it's a great way to learn. So yeah, at least having that balance where some is at home, some in the office, I think is good, and long may that continue.
Yeah, I mean, our futures can't all be just staring at a screen. So given the growth of eToro in the past 18 months, have the numbers of people working for eToro in London increased markedly?
Yeah. So, just from when I've been in here, there's, already been people that have been added to the team, and just speaking to the people I work with, the employee count in London has, I think it's almost doubled, or has doubled from a year ago. So it's great. And obviously with the office is incredibly multicultural as well. So it's great to, I sit next to someone who studied maths at Cambridge, and on my right, and someone on my left who's like a videographer who just came back from Greece, previously lived in South Africa. So it's great to work with people that come from all different backgrounds, different sort of experiences, study different things as well. And the more people we bring in, the better that is. And one thing that is great about eToro is the culture. And big shout out to the bosses that have brought people in that fit with that sort of team that they're working in, and eToro as a whole. It's great place to work. I can't speak highly enough of it, to be completely honest.
That's good, because I'd like to talk about how much fun it is to be an eToro user. And, copy trading is great fun, and all the drama of it and the personalities involved. And I think it's incredibly entertaining. And I'd be pretty disappointed if it turned out that working for eToro was dull and monotonous and old school.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too good, would it? No, but I enjoy it. And, when I do the webinars, it's fantastic to see those. I can't really say familiar faces because I don't see familiar names. And, it's good to catch up with people. And we're creating a good little community there. So, yeah, it's a great place to work. And, yeah, the users are good fun as well.
So eToro sponsors the Premier League and lots of football clubs in England.
Yep.
Do you get to go on jollies to Premier League games because of that?
No, unfortunately not. Obviously, we get tickets to the games through the teams that we sponsor, but these are for clients and whatnot. But I would absolutely love to go on a jolly to these teams. It would be a good little road trip. But that is actually one of my plans. Not to do it on the company, but we obviously work with like Monaco, for example, out in the south of France. I'd love to go to a game there. Hopefully against PSG, get to see Messi in action. It would be a pretty good one. Although I imagine tickets for that game are going to be quite hard to get, as everyone wants to see the king himself. But yeah, it's great.
You might have to settle for tickets for FC Cluj.
Yeah. Well, do you know what those? With no disrespect to those teams, in terms of their reputation, you'd say they're smaller than your Monacos or your Arsenals or whatever, your Barcelonas. But the fans at those stadiums they create a real good atmosphere. So in some ways, in the games, so me and my friends, we like to do pre-COVID, of course, we'd like to do like a weekend away in Europe and go to football games. So, not too long ago, we did Stuttgart, which again, you wouldn't say is like a Champions League winning side at all. But the atmosphere in that stadium is fantastic. The fans absolutely love it. So yeah, if it was up to me, I'd do all of them. Get me in those stadiums. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd rather go and see Erling Haaland play than Messi myself.
Yeah, I've seen Messi play at the Bernabeu, so I feel like I've ticked that off.
Tick that box.
Yeah, but I feel realistically at the level he's performing now, you've got to say what, couple of years left, maybe. So I want to see him before he retires or goes back to Argentina. But Haaland, yeah, what a talent. Can he cut it in the Premier League is something I'd like to see.
Well, he'll be learning from Ronaldo next year. So.
Oh, you reckon he's gonna go to United? I hope not, because that will push Arsenal even further back. But yeah, it's.
Well, let's not talk too much about football. We're losing listeners by the bucket load here. My next couple of questions, I don't know if we've really kind of addressed them, but I'll ask them anyway and see if anything comes up. What's the best thing about working for eToro?
I think being part of a team that's growing and the company that's growing. So being part of that, having a purpose, really looking to create, from my point of view, as much free education as possible, good quality education as possible, and everyone buys into that. So I'm in sport, play team sports when I was younger and loved that. I loved being part of the team. Everyone's got the same goal, and that's what really attracted me to sport, but also eToro. So everyone is involved in really looking to grow the company. So yeah, being part of a team, being part of a project, and really that the sky's the limit.
That's what I was going to ask. How far do you think eToro can go?
I'm super bullish eToro. I really am. I think it's a great company now. I think it's going to continue to grow, and yeah, long may that continue, that journey. I really like it. I like what they've got in place. I like the plans. From my point of view, I want to grow the educational side, and that is also going around to universities as well to sort of do like introduction to investing courses, because that barrier of entry is obviously come down during the pandemic, which is great. I think everyone should have that opportunity to be able to at least learn how to invest or trade. And yeah, I'm bullish.
There's a limited amount probably you can say because you're an employee of a public company, but the bullish case being that eToro does continue to grow. I had a conversation just recently there in response to somebody's YouTube video about buying your 18-year-old nephews and nieces an eToro account, getting them set up and giving them starting capital could become more and more of a thing, could grow to the stage where people have eToro accounts like the same way they have bank accounts. Instead of getting your salary put in your bank account and just watching it disappear until next month, at least it's doing something.
Yeah, I think that's good.
And you're involved in it, and you're in charge of your own finances. And adding every month, I see there's a new facility now you can add automatically.
That's right.
Dollar cost average, which is a great thing because the discipline of doing that, putting money in without even thinking about it, is half the battle.
For sure. I mean, the best thing I ever did, or the best advice I ever got was from my old man when I first really started to look to get into investing, the sort of early 2010s, was, every month put money into, the S&P tracker and, just to sort of sit and forget, add each month and keep building it that way. You're never too late to invest, but I think if I could do anything, it'd be like, I wish I'd done it earlier, for sure.
I wish I'd have done it earlier, but something like eToro didn't exist when I was a young man.
Well, that's it.
It's only come along now that my flame is nearly extinguished. And of course, the other side of things is the States. If eToro can get fully into America, well then, hold on to your hats. As far as I'm concerned, you don't have to comment. But I know that eToro is there now. It's crypto. They have people starting to copy crypto traders in the States. And I understand that stocks and ETFs, etc., will be available on eToro relatively soon. And whether copy trading can make it remains to be seen. But I think Americans would absolutely lap up copy trading in a way that hasn't been seen before.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to, if it does go down that route, to keep an eye on it. I'm not sure on any timelines or what the plan is for America right now, but it obviously, like you said, it's such a big audience there in America, isn't it?
Huge audience, and they love their YouTube investing celebrities, and they try and mimic them and probably fail. So if they had the chance to just automatically not just meet Kevin, but copy Kevin, and copy all these guys that they seem to worship, be huge.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to sort of see, if that ever comes into fruition.
Yeah, I've seen some people saying, not eToro people, but commentators saying, no matter what happens, the likely thing is that in America it'll be walled off. It'll be American investors being copied by American copiers, and nothing outside of that.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure on my end. Can't give any breaking news, unfortunately, on that. Yeah, no, I'm not sure.
I'm not asking for information. And I won't ask you how many shares you own in FTCV either. Or indeed, if you do. I won't assume you do. I do. If you could change one thing about the culture of eToro.
Tricky. Yeah. All my friends that sort of speak to me, how's it going at eToro? Obviously, new job, new role. I can't speak highly of it enough. So what would I change? Nothing really. Maybe once a week, football, five-a-side, something like that. But no, I like it. I'm happy with it. It's gone fantastically well for me for the last four and a bit months, and yeah, long may that continue. I'm really enjoying it. Really enjoying my time here. The culture's good. The people are good. It's been a great opening for me. So within a month, I was playing at Crystal Palace as like on a sponsors 5-a-side, or was it 5-a-side, 6-a-side tournament. Didn't go too well. We didn't even score a goal, but that was good.
Well, that's standard for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then we had like the welcome back to the office party, which was great to meet everyone in person, and everyone's fantastic. Then recently on the podcast had Jonny on, which was also good. So for me right now, it's great. So would I change anything about the culture? Not really. I'm happy with it. Super happy with it.
Have you met Jonny yet?
Only via Zoom. So I know a few of the team out in Israel have had plans to come over and actually for that opening party, but with the dates getting pushed back for the reopening and whatnot, it wasn't possible. But yeah, in an ideal world, I'll be able to get out to Israel at some point, which would be great. But yeah, looking forward to meeting everyone really, and hopefully, obviously Josh and I that do the podcast, we've never met in real life, so I know at some point he would like to. Well, he's obviously from England, but come back here and yeah, we'll meet up and do the podcast in person, which would be a weird experience.
Did you see Jonny's photograph on Twitter with Cathy Wood?
I did, yeah. Me and Josh and I, we spoke about that. Fantastic, isn't it? Great that they're meeting up, and she's obviously a massive inspiration, I'm sure, to many people.
And Jonny must be getting known by all these faces now, like the guy behind eToro.
Yeah, absolutely. And, fair play to him, because he's obviously done, fantastic things here. And, I mean, what a person to meet. And I'm sure over the like you said in the podcast I did with him, he's planning to, over the next sort of few years, meet all of these big names in the industry, which is fantastic. I'm super jealous.
Right, let's talk a bit more specifically now about copy trading and the experience on eToro of copy trading. This is a question I ask PIs, and why don't I ask it to you, see what comes up. If you were a copy trader, Sam North, what would your approach be?
Yeah, so if I was a copy trader, the way I would go about it, I'd, at this stage of my life, I feel like I'm still someone who is happy to take more of a risk than, say, down my life where maybe, fingers crossed, I've got a few kids, I've got, a bit more, maybe a bit more risk averse. So I'd go about it by looking for someone who historically, and obviously, it's very transparent, that has had quite good returns in sort of, I'd say the last sort of 18-month period would be the first way I go about it. I'd then go look at the portfolios that they're in, the weighting to certain asset classes, and really go about it that way. So yeah, I'd be diverse in how many that I look to copy, but I'd be looking for sort of potentially a little bit more risk for that higher return, rather than say, just your couple of % every single month. It'd be, okay, listen, I'm happy to take a little bit of a risk here and go about it that way.
So how many PIs do you reckon you would have in your portfolio?
I'd go with 5.
And would they be all stocks guys, or you'd want some crypto in there? You'd want some volatility, some currency?
Absolutely, yeah. It'd be a mix. Like I said, if I'm happy to take a little bit more of a risk, which I would be, then I mean, the truth be told, it's going to be down that sort of volatility route. It's going to be down the crypto route. So that's when I look into it, look at the assets that are held, that would be the way I go about it.
Are there any specific changes to the eToro platform that you would like to see, if you could make 1 or 2 changes?
I would quite like the idea of for each market that is tradable, that there is a news section. So it would be, very, very clear. Okay, this market, this was, a recent earnings report. This was a recent comment that, is relevant for that product or market. So for example, if we're looking at say the Euro USD, I'd want to know what central bank speaker has just said something, because, could well move the market, or, what was the latest data release. So maybe a little news section per product, per asset class, I think would be quite good. And, I've, looked into ways that could be implemented. So yeah, could be something.
What PI would you say you know best on a personal level?
Limited for now, unfortunately. So I had the opportunity to speak with Ed Butler on a podcast not too long ago, which was great to sort of have a chat with him, catch up, and I'd like to go through that in a bit more detail. But yeah, he would be the number one so far. But as mentioned, I'd like to get as many people on the podcast as possible over the next few years, and get to know them a little bit more. But also, they may well have, things that they would want to change about the platform, that they would want to see on there, which I think is important. On the webinars that I do, and I've got quite a few emails just from people that attend them. I say, well, look, what courses do you want? What webinars do you want doing? Then if the same requests are coming in every time, then I'm more than happy to sort of put that on. But yeah, over the next few months on a personal level, it'd be great to get to know those PIs in a lot more detail, for sure.
So I guess if you've only been involved for a few months and you've hardly met your co-workers in person, you haven't been out for beers with Wesley and Jay Nemesis.
No, that's the problem, isn't it? At the moment, it's all, limited in terms of that. I imagine 18 months ago that would have already taken place. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm sure there would have been events going on in London, eToro events. Come down and mingle, wine and cheese evenings.
Yeah, everyone loves a wine and cheese evening.
I still have them, but it's just only me in attendance.
yeah, which I'm sure is equally as fun, to be honest. But you get all the wine and cheese that you want. You don't have to battle anyone for it.
All right, final question, Sam. If you were in my shoes, what question would you like to have asked yourself that I didn't?
To be honest, I think you actually covered them pretty well. For me, the message I wanted to get across, if anyone was to ask me a question, would be, what are the plans that I've got for the trading school, for the trading academy, and we went through that. So I'm looking to produce as much good free educational content as possible. Whether that be advanced webinars or the beginning webinars or the requests from the users as well. That's really the message for me that I want to get across and get out to people.
All right, good stuff, Sam. Well, I think we're receiving your message loud and clear.
Fantastic. It was great to be with you, Gavin.
Well, it was great to have you, and very best of luck with the podcast. I'll continue to listen. I look forward to hearing your PI interviews.
Absolutely.
Just hope they don't put me out of business.
No, they won't. They won't at all. And it'd be great to have you on soon as well. So should you accept, as mentioned.
You know where to find me.
Awesome.
All right, Sam. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Gavin.
Sam North there. My thanks to him. Check out the Digest and Invest podcast, link in the show notes, and all the eToro Academy content that Sam and his colleagues are creating to help eToro users. I look forward to hearing their PI interview series. I just hope it isn't better than this. That's all from me. You can continue the conversation on Discord and Facebook. If you like this podcast and want to see it continue, you can do your part by recommending it to one person or group of people this week. Until next time we meet at Copytraders Club, I wish you many happy returns. Obviously, anything you hear in this podcast is for entertainment only, not financial advice. Do your own research. This is just generic chit-chat. We don't know your individual circumstances, etc., and so forth.